Chosen one. The record in heaven of this morning would not begin with what happened to you. It would begin with what did not happen through you. You did not send the message your pain wanted to send. You did not return to the person you had already been released from. The old reaction rose, but this time, it did not receive your obedience. That is what God is proud of. Not because you felt no anger, not because you became perfect overnight. God is proud because the same invitation arrived and found a different person standing at the door. A cycle is not broken when you understand it. A cycle is broken when it returns and no longer receives the answer it expected. You may not feel victorious yet. You may feel tired, foggy, or strangely empty. The right choice did not produce fireworks. The room stayed the same. The phone stayed silent, and the people around you may not have noticed anything. But something real happened. The old pattern reached for your attention, and you did not feed it. Think about the first difficult moment you faced today. Maybe a name crossed your mind. Maybe a familiar fear entered your body. Maybe you felt the urge to explain yourself, defend yourself, or return to something that had already cost you peace. For a few seconds, the former version of you had every reason to take control, but you paused. That pause mattered. It may have lasted only one breath, but it created a space where choice could enter. You did not become perfect in that moment. You became free enough to choose. And freedom often begins quietly, before your emotions understand what has changed. The old pattern expected a familiar response. It expected your fear to speak first. It expected your loneliness to make the decision. It expected your need for approval to pull you back into the same room. But the pattern met quiet resistance. It met a person who could feel the old signal without obeying it. That is the unseen victory. It is not measured by how powerful you felt afterward. It is measured by whether the old command controlled your next move. The feeling may return. The memory may return. The trigger may return. But a returning signal is not the same as a ruling authority. Ask yourself one honest question. What did the old version of me expect me to do today? Then ask another. What did I choose instead? Do not make the answer impressive. Make it precise. Maybe you did not call. Maybe you did not beg. Maybe you finished what fear wanted you to avoid. Now say this within yourself. The old pattern expected me to return, but I chose to remain free. Let that sentence settle. You do not need immediate evidence to honor a real change. You do not need another person to agree that your choice mattered. The integrity of the choice is already evidence. Comment these words if they are true for you. It no longer owns me. This is not a performance. It is a declaration of authority. It tells your own mind that the pattern may still speak, but it does not get the final word. And yet, one question remains. If this victory is real, why can doing the right thing leave you tired, empty, or mentally unclear? Why can your spirit know that you have changed, while your body still braces for the old danger? The answer begins with the difference between visible results and invisible reorganization. Chosen one. The hardest part of an unseen victory is what follows it. You make the right choice, and then nothing outside you changes. The message does not arrive. The apology does not come. The door does not open. Silence remains, and silence can make a real breakthrough feel unreal. This is where many people return to the pattern they already defeated. They expect peace to feel dramatic. They expect obedience to produce immediate proof. When proof does not appear, they begin to doubt the choice itself. But external evidence often arrives after internal reorganization. The delay does not erase the change. The old system was fed by reaction, attention, and repetition. Every argument gave it energy. Every return strengthened its expectation. Every attempt to gain approval kept the same door open. When you remove the reaction, the system rarely collapses with noise. It begins losing power in silence. That silence is easy to misunderstand. Adrenaline feels like movement. Chaos feels familiar. A calm room can feel empty when your body learned to measure importance through intensity. So, when the old pattern receives no response, you may feel less powerful before you feel more free. This is not failure. It is withdrawal from a familiar cycle. This is the unseen victory. It happens when a pattern reaches for the fuel that once sustained it and finds nothing available. No argument, no pursuit, no self-betrayal. The victory may not change the room immediately, but it changes what the room can demand from you. Look back with compassion. The times you return do not prove that you were foolish. You were trying to create safety with the tools you had. Explaining too much may have been your attempt to prevent rejection. Chasing approval may have been your attempt to calm uncertainty. Those choices had a reason, even when they caused pain. Write one sentence in your mind. The old pattern expected me to do something, but I chose something else. Keep the sentence concrete. The old pattern expected me to call, but I chose rest. It expected me to explain, but I chose silence. It expected me to hide, but I completed the task. Do not decorate the truth. Precision is more powerful than drama. When you name the exact behavior that changed, your mind receives evidence it can recognize. You stop waiting for the world to announce your growth. You begin documenting it through your own choices. This is the central truth. You are not stuck because God failed to see you. You have changed within, but your mind is still learning how to live inside what your spirit has completed. That learning takes repetition. It takes patience. It takes a new measure of progress. David was anointed before he sat on the throne. The identity was named before the environment reflected it. That story does not promise you a crown, wealth, or public recognition. It reveals a pattern. Inner confirmation and outer manifestation do not always arrive together. Comment these words if they match your season. I honor the unseen victory. Let them become a record of what changed before anyone else could see it. Now, another question must be answered. If your spirit has changed, why can your mind still feel slow, scattered, or exhausted? Why can you know the right path and still struggle to move? The answer begins with a condition many sincere people mistake for a character flaw. Chosen one, there is a condition many sincere people carry in silence. Their faith is real, but their attention feels scattered. Their desire is strong, but their mind feels slow. They sit down to pray, work, or decide, and the clarity they expected does not arrive. You may recognize the pattern. You open a document and suddenly feel tired. You begin an important task, then reach for your phone without thinking. You know a decision must be made, but every option feels heavier than it should. You remember being sharper, faster, or more creative when you were younger. This does not prove that your potential disappeared. It may mean your inner receiver has become delayed. The delayed receiver is what happens when stress, overload, and survival habits interfere with the ability of the mind to coordinate attention, memory, and action. The calling remains, but access feels inconsistent. Survival mode has a purpose. It watches for danger. It notices what could go wrong. It keeps familiar responses close, because familiar responses once helped you endure. But calling asks something different. It asks for presence, discernment, creativity, and the ability to connect pieces that fear keeps separate. That is why shame makes the problem worse. Shame adds another threat for the mind to monitor. It turns a state problem into an identity problem. Instead of saying, "My system is overloaded," you say, "I am broken." Instead of asking what support is needed, you demand more force. Pause here. Notice your forehead, notice your jaw, notice your shoulders. You do not need to fix anything in this moment. Simply observe whether your body is preparing for a danger that is not present. Let one breath become slower than the breath before it. This is not a diagnosis. Persistent or serious symptoms deserve proper medical attention, but it is an invitation to separate moral judgment from mental state. Brain fog does not automatically mean weak faith. Difficulty focusing does not automatically mean you lack purpose. A strained receiver is not an empty spirit. There is an old word connected with inner renewal. The word is metanoia. It points toward a change of mind, a change in how reality is understood and approached. Renewal is not only a powerful feeling, it also changes what you notice, what you believe is possible, and what you choose next. Over the past years, researchers have explored a related question from another direction. They have studied how different regions and hemispheres of the brain coordinate during attention, creativity, and integrated thinking. Their work does not replace spiritual wisdom, but it raises a useful possibility. A small team later built an auditory approach around the idea of supporting that coordination. It was not presented as prayer, and it was not designed to replace discipline. It was created as a brief listening practice connected to whole brain synchronization. We will return to what they built later. For now, hold one question. What if the fog you have treated as a flaw is partly a problem of coordination rather than a lack of potential? That question matters because a person cannot shame themselves into integration. But another distinction must come first. How do you know whether you are waiting with wisdom or hiding behind another request for confirmation? The answer will challenge a habit that often looks spiritual from the outside. Chosen one. There is a form of waiting that looks faithful from the outside. It sounds patient. It even sounds wise. But sometimes the waiting is not obedience. Sometimes it is fear asking for one more sign, so it can avoid one honest step. You may already know what needs to happen. There is a call you need to make. There is a page you need to finish. There is a boundary you need to speak. There is a decision you keep placing back on the altar, even though the answer has been clear for weeks. You tell yourself that you are waiting on God, but your body may be waiting for certainty. It wants a guarantee that no one will reject you. It wants proof that the move will succeed. It wants assurance that the next door will open before you release the old one. This is where confirmation can become a hiding place. Confirmation has value. It can steady you during confusion. But repeated confirmation can also calm anxiety without producing action. You feel movement because you heard another message, while the real decision remains untouched. That does not make you false. It means a tool that once protected you may now be delaying you. There were seasons when reassurance helped you survive. There were moments when another sign gave you enough strength to continue. But survival tools must not become permanent homes. Waiting with wisdom has a different texture. It does not keep you frozen. It prepares you for a clear step. Hiding asks the same question again and again. Wisdom listens, decides, and accepts that obedience may still feel uncomfortable. Here is the hidden mechanism. Fear often dresses itself in the language of discernment. It does not say, "I am afraid to act." It says, "I need more clarity." It does not say, "I fear rejection." It says, "The timing may not be right." The result is confirmation dependence. You become attached to the feeling of being reassured. You keep collecting insight, but you avoid the moment when insight must become behavior. The soul feels inspired. The calendar remains unchanged. Look back without shame. Maybe you were not lazy. Maybe you were trying to protect yourself from another disappointment. Maybe waiting gave you a sense of control when life felt uncertain. That strategy had a purpose, but it cannot carry you into the next season. Now return agency to yourself. Write down the thing you already know. Make it plain. Then choose one action you can complete within the next 24 hours. Do not ask for another sign until that action is finished. The action does not need to be dramatic. Send the email, open the document, make the appointment, say the sentence, remove the number, complete the first page. Clarity grows stronger when it is honored through movement. Imagine tomorrow morning. You do not search for another confirmation. You sit down, breathe once, and begin the task that has been waiting. The fear is still present, but it is no longer leading. Your hands move before your doubt creates another delay. Comment these words if they are true for you. Clarity becomes obedience. Let that sentence interrupt the habit of endless preparation. This message will not promise a payment, a phone call, or a sudden reward. The value is more grounded. You can act differently before your circumstances change. And that is where real authority begins. But one challenge remains. What happens when an old trigger returns after you take the new step? Does its return mean you have lost your progress? Or does it reveal something deeper about what freedom actually is? Chosen one. The return of an old feeling does not mean the return of an old identity. A memory can rise. Anger can move through your chest. Fear can tighten your breathing. None of those signals deserve the throne simply because they arrived. Many people judge healing by emotional silence. They believe progress means never feeling triggered again. So one message, one memory, or one hard day becomes evidence that the entire season failed. But a trigger is not a command. It is information. It may reveal pain or an old expectation, but it does not have the right to choose your next move. This is the trigger throne distinction. The trigger is the signal. The throne is authority. You may not control every signal that appears, but you can decide which signal receives obedience. That is where freedom becomes visible. In the past, the trigger became the command. Anger spoke, and you sent the message. Loneliness spoke, and you returned. Fear spoke, and you abandoned the task. Now the signal may still sound, but you are learning to treat it as information instead of instruction. That difference is not small. It separates feeling an impulse from surrendering your future to it. Use 3 steps when the old signal rises. First, pause. Do not act inside the first wave. Second, name it. Say, this is an old signal, not a present command. Third, choose one response that matches the person you are becoming. Your heart may race. Your hands may shake. Freedom is not the absence of sensation. It is the presence of choice, while sensation remains. Imagine a difficult conversation. The other person says the sentence that once made you explode. You feel your body react, but you do not increase your volume. You breathe, speak one clear boundary, and leave without betraying yourself. Later, you honor the fact that the trigger did not receive the throne. A new identity becomes stable through repeated authority. God is not proud because you never felt the old signal. God is proud because you stopped surrendering your authority to it. That is the deepest truth of this morning. But understanding the trigger does not always create movement. You can know what happened and still feel unable to focus. You can recognize the door and still struggle to walk through it. Why does insight sometimes remain insight? Why does the spirit receive truth while the mind cannot hold it long enough to act? The answer is not always more discipline. Part of the answer may be the condition of the receiver. Earlier, I asked you to hold a question about coordination. I waited to return because a solution matters only after the problem is understood. Now the problem is clear. You are not empty. You are not without faith. But stress, divided attention, and survival habits can weaken the path between knowing and doing. The mind needs support, not condemnation. In plain words, your behavior changed while attention and stress patterns are still adapting. Protect attention, reduce shame, take small action, and accept suitable support. You are learning to live from a new identity. The clarity you have received is real, but clarity that never reaches action cannot carry the life you were prepared to live. Chosen one, return to the question you have been holding. What if the fog you treated as a flaw is partly a problem of coordination? This is where spiritual insight meets a practical option, not as a replacement for God, but as support for the mind carrying your next decisions. In 1981, Dr. Roger Sperry received the Nobel Prize for research connected to specialized functions of the brain hemispheres. His work deepened understanding of how the two sides process information. That research did not prove this product. Human cognition is more complex than a simple left brain and right brain formula, but it supported later questions about coordination and whole brain function. The creators of this resource call their approach neural sync technology. Their goal is to support hemisphere synchronization through a targeted auditory sequence. They connect that state with attention, creativity, and integrated thinking. A woman from California described years of prayer and meditation. She believed the words, but struggled to feel present inside them. After using the sequence, she reported greater clarity. Her experience is personal, not a guarantee. A man from Texas carried responsibility for others, while his thinking became cloudy. After using the resource, he said the fog eased, and his choices felt more direct. Those stories describe the same gap. One felt disconnected, another felt mentally slowed. Neither needed more shame. A team led by Dr. Daniel Barone in New York developed an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. You use headphones, close your eyes, relax, and listen once each day. There is no complicated mantra. There is no long meditation requirement. They call it the Genius Switch. The Genius Switch is presented as a digital audio resource using neural sync technology. Its creators say it was designed to support whole brain activation and hemisphere coordination. It is not positioned as a binaural track, a gamma track, or a general brainwave product. That distinction matters for people who tried common audio tracks. The team says those tracks address only part of the picture. Their sequence is described as a layered protocol for whole brain coordination. In-person neurofeedback can cost hundreds per session, and home systems can cost thousands. This resource is digital and designed for an 8-minute routine. The Genius Switch is not for everyone. It is for the chosen one who has done inner work and no longer wants to call mental fog a character failure. A promise still requires attention and action. The listed price was $49. On the connected page, the product file states an offered price of $39. Prices can change, so confirm the current amount and every condition before deciding. The purchase also lists 4 bonuses: a guided visualization, a grocery guide, a classic manifestation book, and a printable 5 habits guide. It includes lifetime access and a money-back guarantee. Read the terms carefully and confirm every current detail. The urgency is not spiritual pressure. God is not withdrawing love. The question is whether more fog may delay a decision that already matters. Time has value, but fear should not choose. One warning is worth naming. Tracks with similar names may appear elsewhere, but that does not mean they use the same method. The official resource is available through the page in the description and pinned comment. If this speaks to your situation, read everything before deciding. Review the mechanism, terms, and guarantee. Decide with a clear mind and your own discernment. A tool does not replace God. It does not replace sleep, medical care, therapy, planning, or obedience. It can only support a condition of attention. The responsibility to act still belongs to you. You are not buying permission to become worthy. You are considering a resource that may support the mind already entrusted with your calling. The source remains sacred. The tool remains a tool. Chosen one. A tool can support clarity, but it cannot become the source of your identity. It cannot choose for you. It cannot close the door that only your own obedience can close. What was described earlier belongs in its proper place. It may support attention. It may help some people feel more coordinated and present, but it does not replace God, sleep, medical care, therapy, planning, discipline, or honest action. This matters because a desperate mind can turn any resource into a promise it was never designed to make. You do not need to make that mistake. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to read. You are allowed to decide without pressure. Maybe you have tried other audio tools before. Maybe they disappointed you. That concern is reasonable. Read the mechanism carefully. Read the guarantee. Compare the claims with your own needs. Skepticism does not disqualify you. Maybe money is tight. Then do not ignore rent, food, medicine, or other essentials. Nothing in this message requires you to create hardship. The practices you have already received remain available without cost. Protect your attention. Name the old signal. Choose one faithful action. Maybe you are carrying symptoms that feel serious. A digital resource is not a diagnosis. It is not treatment. Speak with a qualified professional when something affects your health, memory, sleep, or daily function. Maybe you fear making a decision from emotion. Then slow down. Emotional clarity can be real, but it should not remove careful judgment. Read every detail after the emotional peak has passed. The tool is not the source. The source is the truth you are learning to live. The tool is not the throne. The throne belongs to the authority that chooses what happens next. Now, imagine a different morning. You wake before reaching for your phone. The room is quiet. You sit down with one important task and feel less resistance between knowing and doing. You do not need a dramatic rush. You do not need to feel invincible. You simply see the next step, and your mind stays with it long enough to begin. The email is sent, the call is made, the boundary is spoken. By evening you do not feel perfect, but you feel aligned because your actions match what you already know. That life is supported by 3 simple practices. Protect attention, reduce internal noise, support integration. Protect attention by giving your first waking moments to silence, prayer, reflection, or one meaningful task before the world begins making demands. Reduce internal noise by writing one clear decision instead of rehearsing 10 possible outcomes. The mind becomes steadier when uncertainty is given a specific shape. Support integration through sleep, movement, nourishing food, prayer, reflection, and any responsible tool that fits your circumstances. Comment these words if they describe your intention. My mind can serve my calling. That sentence is not about control. It is about cooperation. Your mind does not need to become your enemy. It can become a servant of clarity, courage, and faithful action. But how do you protect this victory on the days when you do not feel strong? How do you stay free when the old door appears familiar again? The answer is not intensity, it is repetition. Chosen one. The resource described earlier remains in the description and pinned comment for those who want to examine it. Read carefully, decide calmly. Whether or not it fits you, the responsibility to protect what changed this morning still belongs to you. The first trap after a breakthrough is trying to feel powerful every hour. You monitor your mood and search for evidence that the new identity is still present. That constant checking creates new pressure. A difficult morning begins to look like failure. One moment of hesitation becomes proof that nothing changed. But growth does not need to perform for you every hour. The second trap is sharing the victory with people who only know how to speak to your old identity. They may question your boundary. They may invite you back into the role that kept everyone comfortable. But new roots need time before they can survive every climate. The third trap is making a promise too large to keep. You decide that you will never feel fear again. Then one human moment becomes a reason to quit. Choose smaller evidence, keep one boundary, complete one task, pause before one reaction. Identity becomes stable through repeated choices, not through one dramatic vow. There was a person who finally stopped contacting someone who repeatedly caused pain. Then loneliness returned, and the old number seemed to glow in the mind. Instead of calling, this person paused. The feeling was named. One new choice was made. The process repeated until the urge stopped controlling each day. Nothing supernatural had to happen overnight. Freedom became visible through repetition. Now, sit comfortably. Let your shoulders lower. Place both feet firmly on the floor, or let your body rest wherever you are. Imagine two doors in front of you. One door is familiar reaction, the other door is chosen response. You do not need to destroy the first door. Simply notice that its presence does not require your entrance. See yourself standing between them. The old door knows your history. It knows the fears that once moved you quickly. The new door feels quieter. It does not promise instant relief. It offers alignment. It asks you not to abandon yourself. Take one slow breath. Place a hand over your chest or your stomach. Say this within yourself. The signal may return. The authority does not. Again, the signal may return. The authority does not. You are not trying to erase sensation. You are teaching the body that choice remains available. The old door can appear without becoming your destination. Now picture one situation that may challenge you soon. Choose something manageable. See the first wave arrive. Then see yourself pause. Name the signal. Choose the response that matches the person you are becoming. Let the image fade. Keep the choice. The victory is protected through calm repetition, not through emotional intensity, not through a perfect week. You may have hard days. You may need to begin again. Beginning again does not place you back at the beginning. Rest here for one breath. The lesson has entered. The choice remains yours. The final prayer will not ask God to make you emotionally perfect. It will seal the authority you are learning to keep. Chosen one, bring this message back to its simplest truth. The old pattern returned, but it did not receive the same answer. Your tiredness did not erase that victory. Your next task is to protect clarity and give it one faithful action. What happened this morning may have looked ordinary. No crowd saw it, but a private choice revealed that something within you has changed. Receive these next words as a prayerful reflection, not a prediction. I saw the moment you could have returned, and you chose another way. I am not measuring you by the feeling that followed. Continue walking in the truth your choice revealed. You do not need to become perfect to remain free. You do not need immediate evidence before honoring change. Say these words slowly within yourself. I am not unseen. I am not the reaction that once ruled me. My feelings may speak, but they do not sit on the throne. My mind is learning to carry the truth my spirit has received. I do not need immediate evidence to honor real change. I protect my attention. I choose the next faithful action. I am becoming consistent with what God has already formed in me. Let us pray. God, thank you for the victories no one else witnessed. Thank you for every moment when pain spoke loudly, but obedience spoke deeper. Give this chosen one wisdom to recognize the difference between a trigger and a command. Let old signals lose their authority, even when they still carry familiar emotion. Bring clarity where shame created confusion. Bring courage where another step has been delayed by fear. Protect the heart from self-condemnation. Teach this person to move with humility, discernment, and steady action. When the evidence gap feels long, remind them that silence does not erase formation. When circumstances remain unchanged, help them honor the choices that prove character is changing. Give them strength for the next honest task, just the one that belongs to this day. Help them use every tool wisely. Let no resource replace you. Let support remain support, and let the source of identity remain sacred. When the old door appears, give them the pause to recognize it. Give them the language to name it. Give them the freedom to choose another way. Let their relationships reflect truth without cruelty and clear boundaries. And when they stumble, protect them from believing they have lost everything. Teach them to return without shame. Chosen one, Your final declaration is simple. The old signal no longer owns me. Write those words below if they are true for you. The old signal no longer owns me. If this message helped you, support it with a like. Subscribe for grounded messages about faith and inner renewal. Share this with the person who recently set a boundary and now doubts the decision. Share it with the person who feels guilty for choosing peace. The morning will pass. Your emotions will change. But an old door opened today and did not find the person who always walked through it. Heaven did not record a perfect person this morning. It recorded a free choice. And that choice is where your next life begins.